My name is Laura Talek. I do some content creation on the side on platforms like Twitch and TikTok. I'm a client advisor at Louis Vuitton, and I do some modeling as a part-time job as well. Fashion has always been a very big part of my life. I grew up with family and the women in my family really stressing that your outward appearance is your introduction and is a representation of yourself and of the people that raised me. Looking good and having your own personal style and really representing yourself has always been a very big part of growing up for me. I love to use my style as a summary pretty much of who I am. So I like to really represent the things that I like. I'll put little trinkets on my bags, like small bracelets. I'll wear t-shirts of shows or different things that I really like. And I really kind of personalize it so you get a very summarized view of myself and my interests, and you pretty much know who I am by the way that I'm dressed, and then we get the details after and the moment we meet and start talking. I think my fashion style has definitely a very heavy New York street style influence, just because I live here and it's something that's very adjacent to me. I also really incorporate a lot of Latin styles in the way that I dress, even the way that I do my makeup, just because it's kind of where most of my women in my family were from. They were the biggest representation for me in my life when it comes to fashion and beauty. So it's something that I always kind of take with me as well. So I guess just a combination of the two. And I also really dress very, I wouldn't say androgynously, but I'm not extremely feminine in the way that I dress, just because dressing with pants and other things can just be a little bit more comfortable for me. I started when I was around 16 years old. I would take some pictures that would go viral every once in a while on social media, and from there people would ask to work with me, smaller photographers in my area or larger ones as time went on. So I got used to being in front of the camera and I got used to doing shoots. Me and my family really didn't grow up adjacent to fashion and very heavy New York fast-paced really life. They're very blue-collar workers. Modeling wasn't something that they knew too much about. So it was really up to me when I got older to research, do the work that I needed to do, practice, and eventually sign with the house. So it was kind of a slow, steady progression into having modeling as a very decent part-time job. Trends go by extremely fast now. What's popular and what's new, it's what's prioritized. And for the longest time, we have kind of put staple pieces to the back burner. As we get older and as things change, it's harder for people to keep up with certain trends, and it's harder to keep pieces in your closet because after about a year or so, you're just never going to wear them again. I have noticed a change in terms of trends. Trends come and go extremely fast, very quickly. Everyone is trying to make the new innovative trend and be the start of it pretty much. And a lot of very staple styles have kind of cycled out. They exist and people tend to gravitate toward them, but not as much as they do the new trendy things that are going out. I follow micro trends that I think I can use for a longer time. If I don't really see myself wearing them for more than a year or so, I tend to steer clear. If it's a big part of my personal style and I feel like I can incorporate it, I will. But if not, I really don't see the point of engaging. I just kind of admire it on other people. I find them out by following certain influencers that I feel like share a similar style to me. When I see them wearing it, I can better picture how I can incorporate it into my own style. And like I said, I'll take part, and then if not, I just really won't. Fast fashion is a really difficult topic because on one hand, it allows for people with lower income to enjoy the same fashion trends that people with a higher income can enjoy. It allows for people to not feel left out, and it allows for a little bit more expression. The issue is that it comes at an extreme detriment to the environment. It comes even as at some points human rights when it comes to the workers that have to create these. It's gallons upon gallons upon gallons of water. It's not really that much ethical labor. So at least for me, I really only use fast fashion if it's 100% necessary. I usually save up for pieces that I know that I'm going to wear for, like I said, years to come, whether it be jeans, anything leather, anything staple pieces, very, very high quality things I'll keep. And then for smaller trends, or if I'm in an emergency and I need a dress right away or something rips, then I'll do fast fashion. But it can be difficult kind of maneuvering around it.
Have you noticed any steps being taken by stylists on shoots to choose more environmentally conscious brands to work with?
Yes and no. I think that it becomes a personal decision of the stylists and of the people working on the set. I think that as we go on and as our opinions as a society shifts, it's going to be seen first and foremost in the more creative spaces. I think fashion, music, all that other stuff will be the first to start making those shifts always. But it's kind of goes down to each his own. I don't think it's the most gigantic movement that's ever happened in the fashion industry. I think we will always have fast fashion. I think we will always have, unfortunately, skins and leather and everything else like that. It's always going to be there. I think to phase it out would take a longer time than we really think it would. I've noticed that they're starting off with smaller pieces. I know working at Louis Vuitton, what we do is mostly leather, skins, exotics. It's a very big part of our brand. In clothing, we have started to use or test out more recycled, textiles, recyclable materials. So I think every brand is starting to really dip their toes in, and I think that they're going to realize that it's becoming a very staple issue for a new generation. I think that they are just kind of milking it as long as they can until they get to the point where they realize that how important it is to a new generation and how much it matters. So I definitely think that the switch will be made. It will just take a while. The moment that it really starts hurting their pockets will be the day that it really changes. What's kind of a difficult concept is that models can go out of style the same way that fashion goes out of style. My look, quote unquote, has cycled out through the years. There have been years that I get a lot of work. There's been years that I don't get any because my look, whether it be my face, my body type, ethnicity, whatever it is not trendy. As fast fashion caters to certain body types and to certain looks, as social media puts new faces in the forefront, we all will have cycles. So I think that it does affect us. It'll affect who wears the clothes, who wears it best. It'll affect the aesthetic that you have to wear said clothes. And it can be a good thing, like I said, because then there's a chance for newer, unique, and different styles to come to the forefront. But they come and they go so quickly. I do sometimes wonder what that does to the general public and how they see women, how they see people, how it affects what's beautiful and what's not, because it'll really kind of trickle down into everything else that we do in terms of beauty. I think in the future, I would like to see a little bit more genuine diversity. I know that it's been a push for many brands to be more diverse, but at times it can be very obvious that it's because it was asked of them, not necessarily because they believe that these things are beautiful. I think that they'll have kind of like a diversity kick and then it'll just like fall off after a certain point. And I think that, as like I said, kind of with fast fashion, it's very important to a new generation. I think honesty and genuine change has been a very big thing for our generation. You've been told so many times that things are going to change. We as a society are at a point where if it doesn't, it's not going to be pretty. So I think that as we go on, we need to actually have deeper conversations and not just surface level changes. We need to really talk about how modeling and fashion affects people's body issues, how it affects how they view themselves, how it affects the world as a whole. I think deeper conversations need to be had.
My name is Bob Fox. I'm an owner of a 15-store chain of ladies' clothing. We specialize in apparel, along with shoes and accessories, jewelry. Our stores are located from as far south as Boca Raton, Aventura, Atlanta, Chicago, the tri-state of New York, Connecticut. We've been in business almost 40 years now.
My name is Eileen Fox. I'm owner of Fox's Clothing Stores with my husband Bob.
Well, I came to New York. I had met who is now my wife, Eileen, in San Francisco, and I came to New York to follow my heart. At the time, I really wasn't getting anywhere in the job market, so I picked up merchandise and I started selling in the flea market. That met with success, and so I continued to buy and sell until I actually had the first store.
We are now in our Mineola location. We opened up down the block in a smaller space, and our customers followed us here, and we have quite a following there, believe it or not. So that's how we started. We're really a word-of-mouth business. Mineola is really not now it is somewhat of a crossroads, but at that time, it wasn't. So people found us. We sell many different manufacturers. Over the years, we have hundreds and hundreds of different accounts. We have many buyers. They're great. They're working with their manufacturers to decide to buy. We seed buy, which means we spread out and we try many different things. And then we study our numbers. So it's a numbers game, and we watch what did well, and we only go back to those areas that are doing well. You never really know what is going to do well until you read your reports and study your numbers.
We do this analogous to throwing seeds in a garden. We position vendors into some of our faster moving stores. And with those positions, we get a read on what's going to sell and what's not going to sell. Typically, it's vendor specific. So if one manufacturer is hot, they're typically going to be hot all season. And we react and we try to build those positions. It's almost like a portfolio for in stocks and bonds for an investment company. Although we're positioning manufacturers and we're growing positions and we're shrinking positions, it's a little bit more analytical than looking at something and picking it. Because the interesting thing is ugly sells and beautiful merchandise will sit on a rack and will not sell. So if you try to buy with your eyes, you're going to have a problem. It's got eventually through each season you get a trained eye what's selling. Maybe it's a color, maybe it's a fabric, maybe it's a cut, maybe it's a shoulder treatment. So you see little things as you go through the season that pick up that actually start to trend and actually start to sell. If you look at a magazine and say, oh, that's editorial, it's not really what's going to happen. It's not really what's going to produce selling. So you got to be careful. One is an editorial that starts at the beginning of the season, and one is actually what's selling in the stores, in our stores. Typically what's hot, really hot, is hot in all our stores from Boca Raton to Chicago to Atlanta to New York City. That's the interesting thing. The really, really hot vendors are hot everywhere. It's not so much the area that gives it its difference. We have different, we call them buckets of customers. We have the Orthodox in Brooklyn. Obviously their modest clothing is very specific, and they're wonderful customers. And as long as we can comply with the modesty aspect of what they need to do. We have the Russian customers in a lot of our stores. They like it a little bit more highly styled. And so every customer, fashion is varied. From our Stamford, Connecticut customer to our New York City customer, there are differences. It's based more on the type of customer that's in the area than the area itself. And the interesting thing about fashion, it's not one thing. It's many things. And we try to keep it fun and try to find something for each one of these fashion types.
Again, I think Bob had mentioned as well that we have different customers who have different styles. It depends on who the customer is, more controls what that product is. Something that is hot will be hot in every store. The customers like different things. You know, if someone's from Russia, they might like something with a little more glitz. Someone's more conservative, they may want something long sleeve. So it really varies by the customer more than the location. You can have your own sense of fashion and be fashionable and not necessarily trendy. I would say there's a difference between the two.
As a business owner, I have to pressure the buying team in order to stay up to the trends. But again, I emphasize the process, and I emphasize doing the homework and reading the reports and listening very carefully to the numbers, because that way we will be right. But fortunately, we have a great buying team. They've been with us a long time. We buy all over the world. And if we had to live on 7th Avenue, we grew up on 7th Avenue, but if we had to survive on 7th Avenue right now, we couldn't live. But we're very fortunate. We've got great contacts in France, in Italy, England, LA, Canada, Australia. We're all over the world with our fashion. And the way it's being bought now through email and WhatsApp, we've developed ways to deal with people all over the world. And we air everything now, so we're not log jammed at the ports. We're lucky in that way.
We stay up with current trends because we're in the market every day. Our buyers are in the market forecasting that long before the season starts, because they have to buy fabric, they have to make the garments. So they're kind of the lead, and we kind of follow them. Constantly not only buy new product, but we rotate our product. So if we could buy a group that we put into 10 stores, we will consolidate it, bring it back, so if there's a large top and a large bottom in 2 different stores, when we clean it up, we put it all together and freshen it, and we put it to less stores. So we might take it from 10 stores to 5 stores. Now that came out of the stores, comes back in. Now they're regrouping it to make sure we have a size run to go to the store. Then we do markdowns. If we continually get to the end of the season and we have product that we're not selling, we sell it off to a jobber. So we will box it and send it, and then they send it, they'll resell it. So we sell it for a certain price per hanger, so just a mixture of product, and then they will sell it off to someone else. Well, online is a small percentage of our business, about 5%. You can't try on when you buy online, so there's a much higher return ratio. And we can't show every bit of our product online because we have thousands and thousands of different styles. Brick and mortar is really the business we're in. We get new merchandise every day, thousands and thousands of pieces. So I think brick and mortar is here to stay. And people like to try on clothing. They like to socialize. They like to go to lunch, go shopping. In the fitting room, they meet other people. They're showing, get opinions of what they're trying on. So I think brick and mortar will be strong for a long time.
Well, obviously online is part of the future. What saves us is we're multi-brand, quite a variety of multi-brand. So our fitting rooms happen to be a very important part of what we do. The try-on process saves us, but obviously online, especially if it's a single brand, if it's a manufacturer and you understand the fit, you can do pretty well online. But multi-brand and the number of brands we do, the future for us will still be fitting rooms and great locations. Synergistic locations to where our customer's getting out of the car, where she's conveniently shopping during the times when she buys fashion, will be very important for us.
I think even online stores are now going to brick and mortar because customers like socialization. They like to go to stores. They like to see people. They like to get out and do things. I mean, not everybody wants to stay home and just buy online. I think you will find that, and I felt through the pandemic that people say, oh, well, everyone's just going to buy online. I never really believed that would ever happen because people are social.
There are always challenges, and those that don't do it right are quickly out. So many of our competitors are just gone after the pandemic. It could have been about their balance sheet. It could be that their businesses were weak and they just couldn't absorb the slowdown. So far, our business is still strong. We're picking up. Department stores, they have a venue. The boutique business, the local boutique business has really come back strong. So at one time, people thought department stores were going to be obsolete, and yet they're still very relevant in fashion. And then they thought the boutique business was going to be obsolete, and they're the ones that have had the resurgence since the pandemic. So the future is those who do it right. And to do it right, you've got to buy right, you've got to locate right, you've got to have relationships with your customers, you have to have great salespeople, and I guess just do all of the above in order to be part of the future.
Oh, are we recording?
Yeah, we started.
It is Friday.
TGIF.
Cheers. Hi, my name is Olivia DiTomaso, and I am a lead content creator at Daily Harvest, but I also have my own fashion blog, Live for Style, that I work on after my 9-to-5 job. I feel like my relationship with fashion started at a very young age. I remember always playing dress up, wearing my fake plastic high heel shoes, walking around the house thinking I was putting on my own fashion show. So I've always had a really early relationship with fashion, and that definitely has developed in the years. I started my own YouTube channel back in high school where I would do outfit of the days in front of my camera. After watching countless of beauty and fashion gurus, I was like, you know what? I can do this. So set up a camera, edited it on iMovie, and I created my own channel, Live for Style. I also had internships in the fashion world as I got into college, and just still have a love for fashion. I'm always the type of girl that looks forward to going out at night to put on a cool, funky outfit. I feel like I have developed so many fashion role models in the years as my fashion style has evolved, but the number one person that always sticks out to me, who is my biggest fashion inspiration, has been my grandmother. She has definitely taught me about fashion and passed on her love for fashion to me. So I feel like that person, my grandmother, has always been my inspiration. If I could go back to any decade, it's the 1920s. The fashion in the roaring 20s, like hello, sequins, fringe, flappers. I mean, I already have the short blonde hair. I can totally be a flapper, but anything glitz and glam, I'm wearing it. Like, I'm about to change out of this tropical dress and put on a sequins dress. That's how much I love the 1920s and the silhouettes and the style of that era. When I was in high school and college, I was very much the person that wanted to just fill up their closet with as much clothing as possible. Maybe that's because when I went to college, I came from wearing a school uniform for how many years? Like 10, since kindergarten into my senior year of high school. So I felt like I had no clothes, and now going to college, I needed all these clothes. So I would run to Forever 21, Express, Zara, H&M, and just buy as much clothes as possible and wear the same outfits to class pretty much every single day because those are the clothing pieces that I liked, and half of my closet didn't even see the light of day. I hate to admit this, but I am very guilty of shopping at only fast fashion companies like H&M and Zara. I feel like that's the only stores that are around me or I see on the streets, so I'm always going to those stores. Even though there are some negatives in the fashion world and on social platforms, I still feel like we are moving in a positive direction. I know that working at Daily Harvest, and we really focus on sustainability when it comes to food, has really made me think about sustainability in every aspect of my life, including the clothes that I wear. So I think right now I am making the conscious effort to, not participate in those micro trends as best as I can. It is hard when you are on social media. That's what's there. So I have been more conscious about how I shop and where I shop. For example, if I'm over that micro trend, instead of throwing that shirt out, I'll sell it on Poshmark, or I'll go on Depop and find trends or thrifted clothing that will be trendy for not only a week or a month, for next year or the following year, creating a capsule wardrobe where these items aren't just going to go away tomorrow, but will be basics and essentials that I'll need in the upcoming months and years. I love that Madewell, one of my favorite stores. I actually worked at Madewell way back when, but I love how you can bring in old jeans that might have holes in them or might be so worn that you can't resell them, and they'll recycle them. And they also give you, I think it's like some sort of percentage off your next purchase, which is definitely a perk. But stores like that, I feel like, are leaving a great mark in the fashion world as well as the environment. So with that being said, now I feel like the way I like to shop has definitely been impacted by COVID. I was never an online shopper. I hate shopping online. I love going into a store and feeling the item, feeling the fabric, looking at it, trying it on. But with COVID, I definitely have shopped more online. I feel like I definitely enjoy trying on the clothes in the comfort of my own home rather than some dark, stuffy fitting room. But I try to shop at stores that I feel good about. But I still love going to some sort of thrift store or like a flea market and picking up those one-of-a-kind items. But lately, I definitely been doing a lot more online shopping, and a lot of shopping that involves some sort of like subscription. So living in a tiny New York City apartment, I do not have tons of closet space. So I love Nuuly. So it is, I'm like, Nuuly, sponsor me. I'm ready. But Nuuly, you get 6 items for $88 per month, and you rent those items. This dress is rented from Nuuly, and you get to try all of these different items from all of these different brands, and you get to wear them, and then at the end of the month, you send it back, they clean it, they reuse it, and somebody else rents those same items. It feels good not wasting items. I get to pick whatever items I want for that month, and then I can return it. My first experience with social media was definitely my YouTube channel, Live for Style, and then that evolved into Instagram, a blog, Snapchat, Twitter, all of those other platforms. I hate to admit, but having a following was very important to me, especially in my early days on YouTube. I would just want to follow everybody and anybody just to get a following myself. Those channels who had thousands of subscribers were the channels that were getting seen by other brands. So even though I was very passionate about fashion and beauty, I was doing it for the views and the subscriber count. Now I'm starting to think it's more quality over quantity. I love scrolling through Instagram and TikTok, whether it's just for mindless activity before I go to bed or to find my fashion trends or beauty trends. So a lot of influencers have inspired me and influenced me. I feel like my target demographic and audience kind of changes depending on what content I post, but really it's a lot of my friends, whether from college or high school or even just now post-grad, or also just people that live in New York City like me and just found me through hashtags and who share the similar love for beauty and fashion and just trying to make a presence on Instagram or any other social platform. Definitely when I was more active on YouTube, I received a lot of PR, and I feel like that was like the greatest moment of my life when I was sent a free eyeshadow or eyeliner. And now I still do that, but it's more so to review a product or give my honest feedback about a clothing item or even like a cocktail that I tried at my favorite local bar. So I'm not so much for money, but more so I can just leave an honest review and hopefully inspire and influence others. When choosing brands to work with, I definitely do research on these brands. Gone are the days where I will say yes to any brand just to promote a free product. So for example, I remember this was a couple of years ago. I was sent a protein shake, but I did more research on the company and I found out that it was actually like a weight loss drink disguised as a protein supplement shake. And at that point, I was like, this is not what I want to promote on my brand. I don't feel personally connected to this company. So I had to politely decline, saying I don't feel comfortable representing this brand on my page. So it's all about doing your research. So I think now when PR approaches me, I want to make sure that my values align with the brand's values. With that being said, I feel like content creators influence their audience not only with the micro trends, but another issue that is super important to me, as well as something that I'm seeing a lot of, body image. I know when I am scrolling through Instagram and TikTok, all I see is crop tops and companies that don't go up past a size 16 or don't have plus size sizes. And to me, that's a problem too. I want to see content creators really feel empowered to talk about brands that aren't just cookie cutter and just offer a size 2 pair of jeans or a size small white crop top, but something different that everybody and anybody can wear. So I know that I personally am impacted and feel sometimes sad about my body image when I just see content creators just dressed in crop tops, because as much as, you know, I love a good crop top and they look great in it, I know that like I might not feel comfortable in a crop top. So I would love to see these influencers just show more. Like, fashion is not just a pair of jeans and a white t-shirt, but there's so many ways to express yourself and feel good in your clothes. And I feel like content creators have this responsibility to let their personality shine, not just do what the other content creator is doing, but really have a say in the fashion world and really make a mark not only in the fashion world, but with their audience. I'm hoping that these content creators know that they are celebrities in some people's eyes. My celebrities were those who were in Hollywood and the movies and television shows that I watch. But now we live in a generation where these celebrities live on TikTok and Instagram. And I hope that these content creators who have thousands or even millions, not even, maybe hundreds of followers, they still have a following count. And it's their responsibility to educate and influence them in the most positive and most authentic way. I would hate to see content creators skew a generation the wrong way and leave them with the wrong impression. Shout out to Billie Eilish for taking a stand and feeling empowered and using their voice and using their platform to say, no, like, this is what I want and this is what we need to do to move into the right direction. I think it's all about education. I think it's our duty and these influencers' duties, and even if you're not an influencer, even if you have like 4 followers, it doesn't even matter. It's still an opportunity to educate your friends or your followers about how the fashion world can leave a not so great mark on the environment. I've been doing a lot of research on sustainability, on fast fashion practices, and how impactful and not in a good way it can be to the world and to the environment. So I always like to say it's nobody's fault. I feel like we just have to educate ourselves and make a difference. It's one thing to read articles and read about the fashion industry, but it's also important to do your part and to make smarter choices when shopping. I'm not saying to never shop at Zara or H&M again, but you might not need to buy all of your items from there. It's important to diversify your closet and the brands you shop.
Great. Thank you so much, Shayla.
Thank you so much for having me. Stopped shopping at fast fashion places.